All right, friends and fans of Bob's Barn Workshop. Hey, here we are. We've got the Traverse, the 2020 Traverse back in the shop, ready to go on the lift. Well, what's the project today? It's new brakes and rotors in the front. They don't look horribly bad, but they're getting close, and I see one is worn pretty bad, so I'm just going to replace the bunch. It wasn't that expensive, like 200 bucks for all the parts, you know. And to get it done right. We're going on a long trip this weekend, so got to get that taken care of. All right, so we're going to get that set up and get her up in the air and get the wheel off. I'm not going to show you all that. You've seen it before. Okay, it's fun just to watch this thing go up. For you newbies. Yes, I have my own car lift. Alright, now if you remember right, I got you right in front of the air conditioner. You don't want to hear that. If you recall, I had to use a 23 on this. It says 22 in the book, but 22 don't work for shit. Now somewhere I've got my 23 around here, so let me find it. I'll do the rest. So you guys missed all this fun. I couldn't get the lug nuts out. I couldn't find the right socket. Blah, blah, blah. So I ended up cutting all this sheet metal off the outside of the lug nuts. And how I did it is I put them in the vise with the top up like this. Slit down here with the slitting thing, turned it over, slit the opposite side, jammed a screwdriver in there and pried it off. So now I don't have to deal with these shitty sheet metal covers that spin on the nut and don't get it loose, especially when you torque them. So now we can do the brake job. So the first thing we need to do is get the caliper out of the bracket. This is the bracket. This is the caliper. These are 17s holding the pins. These, so the caliper can slide back and forth and readjust. So I think I can get my monster in there. We'll just blast some babies out of there. If I can find it. Those are big. 17s. I didn't expect 17s. They're usually like 15s or 13s even. All right. See if I can get Buster up in here. Groovy. It's just like brand new. These are your slider pins. We'll check and clean those. Okay, so you'll notice that I already put a bent wire up in here, hanging off from the brake to hang the caliper. So we're going to have to hang the caliper for now on a hook. And there comes some springs, and they went between the shoes like this. Remember, hopefully they will be with the new shoes, because I want to change the rotor too. So the outer shoe doesn't have a squealer on it. See how the inner shoe is getting bad here? Sorry, I missed you again. There were some little spring clips that went. See, this guy slides in this stainless steel groove here, and the inner shoe has the squealer, so we need to remember that. We'll pull out these pins and re-grease them too. Let's see what we got. They just pry off right here. They should. okay. I'm gonna leave the boot in there. These are fine, they're all greasy. I'm not gonna mess with them. The boots, it's clean in there. They're greasy. I'm not gonna mess with them because that'll just be one more problem I create. Okay, so those next ones are a little bigger than the 17 that we took out. There's a 21. Is that going to be too big? No. Exactly right. Unfortunately, I have to take this bracket off. I can get the bottom one easy. The top one I might have to use a regular wrench. Oh my goodness. Can I get in on that? No, but if I have about a 3-inch extension, which I think I have, it's only about 2 or 3. Oh yeah, look at that. Alright. Just like any other brake job, guys. Alright. There's the brake. There's the bracket for the caliper. And now, these guys typically have a 30 Torx or star head in there. So let me get my .30 out of here. Alright. And this I have this 3/8. So I'll take the 3/8 ratchet to it. Is that something different than 3/8? Or 30? No, there it is. Okay. Just didn't have it in there square. Yeah, get in there. Yeah, you don't need to reef these in because they just hold the rotor in position so you can get it put together. That's pretty much all it is. An assembly convenience. Don't break off on me now. If they break off, it's no big deal. I just don't replace them. They don't really do anything for the braking. I don't know why this one's being such a bugger. Oh, come on. There we go. Oh, it's sharp on the edge. Be careful. Alright, there's that piece of stuff. These rotors are yunk. So we're going to yunk them. Boy, those are big rotors. They look like about 12 inch or so. Well, we're not going to do anything under here. Black paint. I was just going to shoot something on that. Maybe stop a little rust. Make it look like I cared enough to paint because someday I might have to take these bearings out. So we'll paint the end of the bolts. That'll kind of help seal out the rain or something. Now I gotta clean my hands so I can get that rotor on without getting it all dirty. Let's compare the brake shoes to make sure we got the right stuff. I always try to buy AC Delco parts. They are the right shoes, so that's good. We got new hardware, we got new little things we're going to have to mess with the bracket over here when we get a chance. So let's get the disc out of here. Oh, good, I got parts cleaner too. That's good. And I got the new deluxe, I'm going to start a new scene. I got the new painted rotor things. So they got like a coating on them, and the ones that I put on the back are still shiny, so I'm really impressed with that. Put my knife right in my pocket so I know where it is. All right. So clean this surface first, which I got my greasy fingers all over it. I'm gonna go wash my hands. All right, I'm back. I just had to get some Goop waterless hand cleaner. It works like a charm. I should wipe that. Now the next thing we're going to also have to do is get the caliper pushed back in. Okay, so we've got the clean rotor in hand. We've got to find the mounting hole, which doesn't matter because the holes are everywhere. All right. And that goes over there like that, there. Now I'm going to put some anti-sneeze on this thread because it's a little rusty. About 30 torques that goes in there just to keep him all nice. Of course, you don't want to get that on your hands or into your caliper. I know you can't see anything, so We'll bring you over here behind the lights. Okay, I got the rotor on there, you see. Okay, and that's it. I just snug it. Because when you bolt the tire on, the wheel on here, that's what holds everything in place. Okay, now let's load the caliper with the shoes, and then load the bracket with the shoes. We'll go over to the bench for that. We got to push the pistons back in, and how you do that is with a nice big C-clamp in the old shoe. And you just put that sucker in there like that, and then you take your C-clamp and you go squish. If I got a big enough one here. I don't think I have a big enough one. Yes, it. All right. This guy out this way a little bit. There we go. Now you can see the caliper and the pistons in there. You got to do this slowly because you got to push all that fluid back. Actually, I'm going to shoot. Got to. I have to. Because it's a double piston caliper. And we're just going to push slow. And we want them to be back in there. Oh, you'll feel them stop. Because those new shoes are going to be nice and fat. And so they're going to want to take up all the space they can. I'm glad I had two of these. That made it so much easier. I have a little thingy that fits in here, but I think it only pushes one piston, but I got a second in there. All right, so that's in. Bingo. We're going to need this on the other side. I'm going to put a little PV blaster in these boots just to kind of soften them up. Let it drip off while we're assembling the, make sure I didn't splash any back here. I didn't. All right. So that's done. Let's go over to the bench and work on those loading the caliper, or loading the bracket. So here we go. Bracket is very clean. There's these metal thingies that go in there, so I'm gonna, that looks symmetrical. That looks symmetrical. I'm going to get a little wire brush and brush that out. anti-seize. So I'm just going to brush these grooves where that stainless steel sliders fit. Just to make sure we got clearance. I'm going to change my paper towels. A little bit of brake dust on it, but that's no big deal. Now we put the rust preventative stuff behind the stainless steel to keep this from rusting and swelling and jamming the shoes. We don't really need it on the stainless steel. That's why they're stainless steel. So these are the pockets where the tips of the shoes ride. So that may seem counterintuitive, but I don't know, a guy at South Main Auto might have clued me onto this, so thanks, bud. South Main Auto in Vulcan, New York. Live down in the Bath area that way. You can always go see Mr. Rowe. Alright, so now I'm just going to throw another clean piece on top of this to expedite the process. Here we go. Okay, so let me look at this for a second. I was just checking what was the inside. This is the inside edge. So we need to put new clips in. They just go sticking up like this and snap on there. Snap that on there. Alright, that went in real nice. And these are identical, so that's no problem. The little tab goes up. Put it all the way to the end of this notch. And that one goes in there. Now watch out, they're sharp, they're sheet metal. Now I might, instead of anti-seize, put a little brake grease on that. La 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 la. I'm going to put a little brake grease right in here. Because that's where the shoes got to ride. And maybe that'll stop a little rust too. Not enough to get into everything, of course. All right. So, this is the outer shoe. So to get this in, we're going to drop it in from this side. Can you see what I'm doing here? Okay, let me move this out here. I'm going to, don't touch your shoes, of course. That guy was in first. Yeah, it's a twist in. Okay. Perfect. That went like a champ. The outer shoe, we're just going to do the same thing. Put them into the slot from both sides. Give them a little twist. And he pops right in. Okay, now they gave us new springs. I don't know if these will just make it pop right out. I only got one new spring, so I guess I'm going to have to save the other ones. But these guys squeeze and go into the holes just like that. Alright, so good thing we saved the other ones. That's fine. They just gave you one extra one, but we've got extras that came with it. So there's little holes in the shoes just like that there. and I think these need to go in after. So we'll put them in after. So let's go mount this in the car and see what we got. All right. So now we come with our caliper. Back end with loaded with the shoes. And he has to go right here. And that bolt goes right there. Sure seems like it hit the hole. A little sludgy. All right. Back with the wrench. Real tight's a good torque spec. So I'm not giving torque specs. Tight. Tight is a good one. All right, so these guys want to press together. And just need to drop our caliper back on there. Just want to put that group on there to soften up the. There we go. Now remember, when you replace your brakes, you definitely need to start the car and slowly pump the brake pedal for a while until it gets high and hard, because these brake shoes do not move that much, especially the calipers, because they're almost in normal contact. So I hope I'm being concise on this one, guys. And I know you guys like my videos to be a little bit more concise about what I'm doing. This is that 17mm head bolt that goes in there. And I am putting anti-seize on them in case I ever have to open these up again. I've never, ever, ever had anything like this loosen up in my life by putting anti-seize on it. But it sure is nice when you got to put it in again. Got to make sure that little plate with the flat edge on it gets sucked up in there. That's what it tightens against. So I think I'm just going to torque these by hand. La 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 la. I'm singing horn. Holy girl. Stop singing. I'm sure these guys don't have like humongous amount of torque on them, because you just hold these pins and there's just a threaded plate that they screw into, so you don't want to break them off. All right, we put our springs. Oh, I didn't put the damn springs in it. I thought I could fit them in from the top, but ski, I can't ski. So I'm going to take it back out, put the springs in. Not sure exactly what I'm going to do here. The springs pop the shoes back out of the rail. So I think I'm going to bend those tabs. These little tabs right here. If I bend them like that, after the shoes are in, There. Now the little stinkers can't get away from me. So now I can spring the springs together in here. And we'll just have to hold them together. While I drop the caliper over. Just like that. Bingo. Easy. Easy peasy. Easy peasy. Just use your head. So there we go. You did it all right. You can look up the torque specs on these if you like. What I do? Tight. This is probably all right. Now that caliper is done. Done. So now onto the other side. But I'm not going to show you that. I'll show you the wrap up here. I just got to go do the other side. Maybe I'll do a time lapse or something. Okay, I'm just going to rip through this with no explanation, and I'll edit out, fast forward, do all that stuff. There we go. Job is done. There we are. Remember the 30 torques? These were 17s holding the caliper pins. The caliper bracket were 21s. Everything looks fat, thumb, and happy, don't it? All right, so time to put it back together. I guess you don't need to see that. We're done. Just put the wheels on, torque them to the proper torque. That's all I can say. All right, I got the lug nuts temporarily loosely tightened, and I need to let the car down. I just got them finger tight actually, but they're touching the hub. So I need to let the car down now so that I can torque them. And to do that, I'm going to have to do two hands. I got to go up a bit. And then I have to pull this so they touch. There he goes. Now, I don't have him quite all off the weight yet, so let's see what we can do. I'm doing these to 110. You can do what you like. So I did 3, and now I've gone straight across to the top one. And then 120 degree. I'm scratching my paint, but I'm impatient. I don't want to wait. So I'm going to do these over here. We're all torqued. We're going to put it the rest of the way down. I found some really nice lifting spots. Got my Volkswagen seat out here. I'm working on that little dude. Okay, so what did I tell you the first thing you do? We get in here, press the brake, let her build up some vacuum pressure and stuff, and then you just start pressing. Now see the pedal's going all the way to the floor because I pressed all that fluid back into the reservoir and the pistons were all the way out. Now I'm making up the distance and now I've got a high hard pedal. Alright, so I got to open the door and we'll take this back to Mama. Gotta watch out the beetles out in the yard. Straight back. Straight back. Oh, that new concrete is so nice. I had concrete poured outside my doors here. I don't know if I showed you that. Make sure you don't run into the bug. See the nice new concrete lead-ins I got. Nice. Can't see what I'm aiming at. Yeah. Down there. All right, improvements to the barn. Curl my way around the bug here. Try not to get into the trees too much here. Miss my maple tree. I mean, the brakes weren't bad. They were just getting worn, and one of them was rusty, and one wasn't quite giving a clean pattern when it was on the rotor. So here we go. Little test drive. Yeah, it's barking because I don't have my seat belt on. I'm a lawbreaker here. Now you don't want to go in and give these things a super power stop to start with. Just be gentle with them for the first 50, 100 miles. You know, just tap them. Let them slow you down a little bit that way. That's all I'm doing right now. They're nice and smooth. They were a little bit shaky. They feel like silk. I don't feel nothing. I did the rears not too long ago. You guys remember that video, right? A lot of cars going by today. All right, I'm just up here to the T by my road. Make sure nobody's coming behind me down the road. Nope. All right. Now we can test the brakes because there's nobody on our tail. Oh yeah. I just seating them in a little bit. No vibrations, no warpage. As I said, I'm not going to do no panic stop. But we got a 1,000-mile trip coming up this weekend. I got to drive to Vermont and back. Solar field. You know, when they put the solar field in, I was a little mad, but you know, at least it's not a new housing development with screaming kids and barking dogs and lawnmowers and, you know, it's quiet. It doesn't make any noise. And you can't blame the farmer when they pay you thousands of dollars a month to lease your land and you can sit on your ass and watch HBO at home instead of being out in the field plowing 24/7. All right, guys. Well, that's it for me today on this 2020, yes, it's a 2020 Chevy Traverse front brake job. Pretty easy. 4 nuts and bolts on each side. All right, guys. God bless. We'll see you next time.